You here again, just like always. Don't know why I'm surprised. You expected this, didn't you? I should have. Things were going very smoothly. So smoothly, so risk-free, so no consequence. Oh, but I got too cocky, didn't I? I got too confident. Everything was going too right, wasn't it? And you're right, I had to be... Elliott is quite the problem child. Not that I had any real problem with him. He was... Well, I got to him in the end. There was just some complications I wasn't expecting. The jolts I mentioned before, they're not great. The update. Where do I begin? Okay, on the internet, I feel everybody will encounter somebody either personally or from a distance that is a huge fan of something or even someone. In fact, they're such a big fan that they will write something called fan fiction or create something called fan art to an unhealthy degree. Now, creating those things isn't always a bad thing. Everybody's allowed to enjoy stuff. But I'm talking about the problematic instances. I don't think I need an example here. I'm sure something already came to you, and don't worry, the irony isn't lost on me. Before all of this mess, I scrunched up the very first blurb I wrote for Elliott's planned involvement with the project. I figured it'd be interesting to share what he was originally going to be like. Elliott writes stories detailing his own experiences with men and women. Oftentimes the farmer will catch snippets of it from peeking over his shoulder. Every instance will be plagiarized, and the farmer will know, but Elliott will often become upset and offended when pointed out. He'll write stories that the farmer will have a rare instance of reading snippets of, like maybe, I don't know how, but possibly 1 in 100 kind of chance. But they'll clearly feature odd pairings between the other townspeople. Some of them will remark that they've requested stories from him in the past. Something I know I want to include for Elliott is actually having the other townspeople involved in just what he's doing. Yes, they'll have requested stories of the less appealing variety, but I figured if you can come across these misplaced chunks from his stories, then why can't they? Sometimes when you interact with the others around town, they'll talk about how there's a story he's written about them floating around. But I want to go deeper than that. I want for them to say, hey, all of these people, they're kind of talking to me strangely now, and no one's looking at me the same. And it's all because of the story. One of the most important ways I want for Elliott's business to be unsettling to the player is for the townspeople to have read the stories he's written about them, and I want them to actually believe it. Some might talk on how they didn't think that you'd go for something like that, or they'll express an acceptance of the new thing that they've learned about you. Of course, all of it will be false. Nothing he writes will be true, and the most uncomfortable part is that you'll only see their reaction. You'll never know just what's been written about you. Somebody might think that that's really cool, hey, awesome to hear. Somebody else might think, hey, you slept with my wife, how dare you? When you ask Elliott about it, or simply request that the stories be destroyed, of course he won't comply. Why would he? You're just another subject for him to write about, and because you're new in town, you're just that much more exciting to read about. Like the others, Elliott's all finished, at least for now. I've come to accept that he and everyone else aren't in their concrete editions. I'll always be going back and changing things to flow well with the others, and I might just change my mind on him completely and go for something different. Next is possibly Harvey. I'm not set in stone on that though. He's another one that I've worked on prior to documenting all of this, and he's basically finished already. To give you a small peek behind the curtain, the two that I'm actually having the most trouble with, it's actually Abigail and Sebastian. There's not much to really go off of with their pre-existing personalities. I simply just haven't made any progress on those two. I don't even know what to turn them into. If possible, I might just take the opportunity to document a little more of my process with dismantling the characters and rebuilding an atrocity out of them. It might actually be interesting to somebody. Well, I have quite the mess to clean here. A lot of stuff to take care of. So I'll see you next time. Remember that you and me were better together. I'll see you around.